Hey guys, and today I have a new data pack that, according to my YouTube polls, is very interesting to a lot of you. This is easy pathfinding. Here we have a dude following me. He's not going to leave me alone, but he is quote unquote pathfinding to me. And I say quote unquote because this is easy pathfinding. This is not crazy pathfinding. This is not A star. This is not Dijkstra. This is not freak out your game and blow up your computer pathfinding. This is easy pathfinding. And you may be thinking, well, if it's easy pathfinding, then it's not multiplayer friendly, surely. But this is multiplayer friendly. And it's not only multiplayer friendly, but it's also multi-pathfinding friendly, and also survival mode friendly, and also adventure mode friendly. This is perfect in terms of its implementation and what it can be useful for. It's very simple, very lightweight, 3 repeating commands. So let's go ahead and hop into how to install it, and then I'll show you how to use it, and then I'll show you how it works. So you're going to download the data pack, go to .minecraft saves, your world save, your data packs folder, and just drag it into here. It does not say unzip me, so don't unzip it, just leave it alone, and then type reload in your world. When you type reload, then this message will come up with the title of Cloudwolf's Mapmaker's Toolbox, and it will tell you all the installed toolboxes that you have on your world. You only get the message if you're in creative, so if you're in survival or adventure, or you jump back into the world, it won't tell you the message. You have to type /reload to see the message. Now, you can click on this to see this specific tool. And I have a couple help pages, but this video is like the ultimate help page. But if you need a quick help, there's a help page. So we have settings, help, video tutorial, uninstall. Uninstall will delete everything associated with this video. Will link to this video. Help will give you a page talking about basically what we're going to talk about here today. And then settings is I'll go over settings, but they're fairly basic. There's just idle and speed. And speed is just how fast they move. Idle is whether it stops at its target destination or not, which doesn't affect this dude following mode. The idle does not affect that. Now, let's get into how to actually use it. So let's go to the help page. It's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and go execute as at e tag equals sans. So this entity is called sans, and I'll make that pretty clear through this. We're going to do CW paths. Now, any of the functions that you see here are actually viable functions that you can play. If you see it in private, then it's private. You're not supposed to touch it. But if you see these functions, this is just my general convention. These are ones that you're allowed to use, with the exception of end being one you probably shouldn't use. But remove will go ahead and remove that, so he'll no longer follow me. So let's go ahead and set up some place that we want him to pathfind to. This is the basic of him going somewhere. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is load some chords. So you can do that by loading a position. So you go /execute positioned right there, then run function CW paths, load chords. Okay, so that's going to load the chords onto the sidebar here that you can see. You can pull up the sidebar if you want just by doing scoreboard objectives. So let's say sidebar, CW paths, so you can see what's going on. But yeah, so that will load the chords to be pathed to, and then you do execute as at e tag equals sans at s run function CW paths new pather. And when you do that, he will walk to the path. Keep in mind that if the path is ever blocked off, it will just stop. It won't be able to make it there. And also, it doesn't go to the exact block. It just goes near the block. And then I think one of the settings I did was idle true. Yes? Let's see. Yes. Okay. So he does idle. So once he gets there, he stops. You can make it so that, like, if you say idle false, then once he gets there, he'll just go around. He'll wander around. But yeah, so that's how you do pathing to a specific coordinate. Now, if you want to make it path to a player, then you have to do execute as at e tag equals sans. So again, the as, but now you do it at the player or entity. It can be a player or other entity. You can make one entity follow another, but you have to do this at them. And then CW paths new follower. And once you do that, he will always try to come to you if he can. So he gets over here, and then when he's close to you, he stops. And that's pretty much the majority of how you use it. You can make it without having a visual entity. You can do it with no entities if you just do it at nothing. So if I do pather and then I don't say at s, and I do it at some location where there's no other entities, then it'll just create the pather without having some entity. Just as long as there's nothing within a distance of 0. Anyways, so that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go into how this works, and this is actually kind of important to know. So if I do, if I remove my resource pack, which this is something that people might like, if they don't get to this part of the video, they'll be like, wait, what? But you'll see what happens. Hey, it's a wandering villager. There's a couple over here, but you can just do, that's just because I reloaded, but you can go ahead and do CW paths, remove, and same thing, and they're gone. Anyways, so he's going and walking to me, and this is actually exploiting an MBT of wandering villagers. So they actually have this MBT called wander target. So if I do data get entity IE type equals wandering trader, limit equals 1, you'll actually see something here called wander target, and it has X, Y, and Z. So if you put coordinates on its XYZ wander target, the thing tries to walk to that location. When it gets within about 1.75, 1.8 blocks of it, it will stop and stay there, and then obviously wander around afterwards, but it loses the MBT. So this XYZ goes away after it gets to its target. And you can see that this guy does some idle stuff because he gets to there and then he loses the MBT and then he walks away and then he gets it back. So this is pretty easy to exploit. And one important thing if you're using this pack is to know a few things. One thing to know is the reason why those 2 extra villagers showed up was because I did new pather but not as anybody, and the loaded coordinates were like over here, and I did it twice. So just keep track of your villagers so you don't get out of hand. After a certain point you can say, so you can do execute as at e tag equals pather run function cw paths remove. Let's see, tag at e list. You can figure out what their tags are and get rid of them essentially. So cw pather, and that will just clear all of the pathing involved with it. So you can do that occasionally if you think that you're getting some overflows. Some extra dudes walking around. Now, in terms of getting rid of their texture, you're going to need to either put a resource pack on for the world or put it in the world that removes the texture of the wandering trader, or you can make them invisible. But I didn't do that for this because it's actually kind of intensive what you have to do, because the wandering trader, when they're invisible and it's daytime, try to drink a potion. So you have to constantly remove the potion from their inventory. I mean, drink milk. You have to constantly remove the milk from their inventory. Otherwise, you're just going to hear slurp, 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 slurp on all the time. They'll stay invisible, but you'll just always hear slurp. So, yeah. You can do that if you want, but that's like more intensive than I wanted. I wanted to try and keep this the minimal amount of repeating commands and whatnot. So, yeah. Slurp slurp, you can get rid of that without a resource pack, or you can use a resource pack to untexture them, which is what I do because it's very easy that way. This is easy paths. It's not meant to be like something crazy and complicated. It's just meant to be easy to use. Now, in terms of how it works, it actually uses my entity linker system to keep entities combined together to make it multiplayer friendly. So when you have a follower, there's it unlink. When you create a new one, it unlinks and removes the previous entities associated, and then it basically links you via scoreboard. So the player has a score, or the entity that it's following has a score, it has a score, and the wandering trader gets a score, and you all have the same number. So it looks for the numbers to figure out what to do. So for example, when it is trying to set the path, it basically goes to the player, puts their coordinates on the scoreboard, or the entity. I'm saying player, but I mean the entity it's following. So it's constantly putting those coordinates on the scoreboard and loading them onto the entity, the Wandering Trader. So yeah, anyways, very easy to work with. Hopefully you guys find this useful. I am definitely using it in my newest map, and I'll actually have another map maker's toolbox from that map coming out soon, or at some point, that has to do with camera rigs. If you're interested in that, go ahead and hit subscribe. There's going to be a lot new cool kind of like tools coming up, and maybe some new maps. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.